the academic podcast agency.
My name is Dimitris Moutopoulos. I'm 39 years old, and I was looking for a soulmate. I was looking for a woman that I can share my life with and be able to communicate easily and enjoy beautiful things in life and be together for each other for the difficult times.
I'm 38 years old. My name is Anastasia Vlahaki, and I was looking for a man to be able to look each other in the eyes. Sorry, I feel quite moved. It's a little bit straight.
Hello, and welcome to the very first edition of the Glass Bead Game. Today we will be looking at love and politics in the city of Athens. Dimitri Moutopoulos is a professional trumpet player who left Greece in 2003. Now he plans to return as he has fallen in love with Anastasia Vlahaki, who lives about 20 minutes from the centre of Athens. I spent a few days with them as he looked for work in a city that has attracted a lot of negative media attention over the last 24 months. A city that for many would be the last place that they would think of when looking for work.
The time through which we are now passing is of exceptional character. This is
the Glass Bead Game. The Glass Bead Game.
My dear friends,
Inform, investigate, and engage.
In 2002, Greece, along with most of the EU, adopted a single currency, thereby giving financial power to the European Central Bank that presently controls monetary policy for those nations that make up the Eurozone. After an initial honeymoon period for Greece, the country's relationship with its new finance arrangements soon began to deteriorate. Bailouts in 2010 and 2012 and an increasingly severe set of austerity measures created violent civil unrest. But now, in 2015, the Greeks have elected Syriza. The Prime Minister, Alexis Tsipras, and Finance Minister, Yanis Varoufakis, have begun a new relationship with the electorate of Greece. Charismatic and sincere, they are both promising change and security to a public eager to believe in them. A public eager to believe that this is not just a short-term romance. So now we are outside the government building where presumably Tsipras and Varoufakis are sat with an abacus of some kind and trying to work out the country's debts and assets. What are we doing here, Dimitri? Where are we?
We're outside the Greek parliament, and we're about to talk about politics.
Are we going to talk about politics? We're going to do it now. We're actually going
I
to
think
talk
so,
about
yeah.
politics.
Let's give it a go.
Okay.
Those stun grenades that are coming down, the tear gas, and this is the sort of running battle on this side of the square, the far side of the square, from where I'm talking.
I think we have a serious problem if we think that democracy comes out of voting and out of parliamentary processes and out of representation processes. What we learned from Greece, what we learned from Spain, the last 5 years of the crisis, is that there is a very different type of democracy, if you like the term, which is a democracy from below, it's a democracy from the street, it's a democracy of direct action, it's a democracy which will not step back when the policeman, as a representative of the government, of a voted government, will come and tell you, oh, get the hell out of here, because you cannot protest against austerity, this is our only solution. I am Dimitris Dalakoglu. I am senior lecturer in anthropology at the University of Sussex, and the last 5 years I'm studying urban politics and urban transformation in Athens. The 5 years of crisis, the structural adjustment, and the previous 20 years of economic growth created a completely new social class structure in Greek society, a completely new cultural and political logic. So basically you create a society which is ready to go out of Europe, that has enough of being humiliated, and you have a majority of society which actually have less and less things to lose.
Round with journalists and a few Syriza supporters, there's a historic victory for Syriza at 39%. That's one of the biggest victories in history, not only historic for Greece, but for Europe as well. The Golden Dawn, the extremists...
The vote for Syriza was a vote for common sense that this does not really make sense. We cannot survive anymore by further cuts, no matter whether you are super rich or super poor, because the country is collapsing, the country is disintegrating.
We will have a chance to change the course of Europe.
My name is Andreas Antoniades. I'm a senior lecturer in the Department of International Relations at the University of Sussex. Syriza is democratically elected on the 25th of January 2015. So the jury is still open. I think Syriza is an experiment, but is a hope, I think, at the moment for Greece, is a hope for Europe. And even if it was not Syriza, we would need somebody to force us to think what we have been doing wrong over the last 5 years.
I remember the day I went to vote. Everybody knew that almost everybody was voting Tsipras. So when I went out, everybody was smiling to me, even before we knew the results. And that was really strange, to face the people smiling even in the voting room, you know. That's just perfect. It's because of the new romance.
We have, above all, to preserve our democratic culture. Whether we believe in West or East, whether there is this dichotomy in Greece, all along it has to be the democratic way. I don't see that there's going to be any good news if we ever lost that. My name is Emmanuel Mamadzakis. I'm professor of finance at the University of Sussex. So in the summer 2014, I was appointed as a Secretary General of Fiscal Policy for the previous government of the Greek Republic. You have the Troika, the European Central Bank, International Monetary Fund, you have the European Commission, and you have also the member states of the euro area. So it's a very complicated negotiation table. These days, Greece is in a liquidity crisis. And this is something that people don't realize, that you don't necessarily need to get out of the euro to default. They can force you to default within the euro. But legally, they cannot force you out. You can be suffocated within the euro area because they can control the cash flow. They control the liquidity. Day in, day out, you have to have certain cash to maintain the bank account, the government, the country. Now, who is giving you this cash? Troika, the partners.
Don't feel I do something insane by moving to Athens at these times. I know that I'm quite sure that I'm gonna find paid gigs. By going tonight to the jam session, it gives me the chance to play and make myself, in a way, slowly known in town. Just to make a good impression, so people kind of think, okay, that's a new trumpet player in town. Maybe we can exchange some contact details. Maybe we can book him to do a gig. There's people swearing. Alaka is just... What's the national character of Greek people? Okay, so you have the tabloid, they always exaggerate about Greece. And they seem quite a lot against Greece, against the They portrayed Greeks as lazy, and which I think Greek people are not lazy. It's just they were creating a very bad name about Greece.
We should go back to the origins of the economic crisis. I think we should discuss whether Greece is really different, okay? Whether Greece is the laggard. And I have to say that myself, I'm not at all convinced about that, okay? And against any moralizations that have driven the debate about the European the European debt crisis. But it remains a very destructive and disturbing, I think, phenomenon. After all, I think, if you focus on the total debt, not only from the public sector, from the government, but the corporations, the households, and banks, Greece and Germany has the lowest total debt in Europe in 2011. Okay, I know that this sounds strange, but that's the problem about moralizing. And if you would like to focus on the public debt, Spain had a lower public debt in comparison to Germany. So I don't think that, the easy moralization, the easy arguments about profligacy really make sense, and they don't stand to the facts.
So if you want to make a metaphor, we are in a club of runners that have much faster pace than we do. So being part of the club does not mean necessarily that we are up to the level of that runner, because their pace is different than ours. It's irrelevant, really, to look at the total debt, joint household and government debt, because all it counts in the euro area is the government debt. And there is a huge, huge government debt. These days in Greece, we have deflation. So the inflation in Greece right now is negative, minus 1.1%. Because it does not make any sense to own anything. So the daughter says to the father, if you really love me, don't give me anything. Don't donate me something. Don't give me any property. So just to explain you how bizarre is the approach that they follow in Greece. And why is that? Because they went by the book. They say, this is what's happening. And before you know, you lost a quarter of your GDP. This has been catastrophic. It's unprecedented. There is no record in the economic history of such a huge loss of output during peace period.
I think I have to concentrate on positive things. Of course, I'm going to live somewhere with my girlfriend, so we're going to share a rent. The prices are quite low for renting a place. I'm going to try to avoid the media, the TV, the newspapers, and I want to socialize with positive people who, because I think in any situation you can always see the positive things.
What made Europe attractive in the world was its social model. What made Europe to be, a paragon, or that something that the others would try to achieve in terms of standards, it was its social standards, essentially. And the further away that we are moving from this idea, I think the closer we are coming to a collapse of the European house, of what is Europe. And, a collapse of the European house, I think it would be a disaster at a time that we need Europe to be strong at an international level, and not for geopolitical reasons, I think. Because Europe remains the only voice in favor of the social model. Europe remains internationally the only voice that can counterbalance, the large kind of neoliberal kind of restructuring of the very psyche of the world economy.
The bank abused the whole world and the whole planet. It's the people of the top, what we call 1%. Okay, my name is Eleftheria Ike, and my first name means freedom in Greek language. Crisis means somebody take you what you love with violent way, and you don't understand why. This is crisis. Yeah, it's important because you understand that the financial problems come to your life also. When some people lost their basics, the center of Athens, it was under demonstrations every day. A lot of police violence, a lot of violence in general.
Capitalism comes into crisis. Anti-capitalist forces from the left often gain power, and the reaction of the capitalist classes, let's say the most powerful, would be to emphasize and start selling nationalism, start selling hostility against the other, start selling hostility against other Europeans, because that's also another thing that we're seeing. We're seeing lots of mainstream German press vilifying Greeks, and we see lots of Greek systemic, again, press vilifying German people. Be careful, they don't vilify the governments, they don't vilify EU or IMF, they vilify the fellow citizens. They promote hate against the population of an entire country. I think there are lots of things there to be careful in these times of crisis when it comes into understanding nationalism and the rise of racism in Europe.
Peace. I'm fine, and you? I'm Michael.
Hi, Michael. I'm Will.
Well, where are you from?
I'm from UK.
UK?
Yeah.
Wow.
Where are you from?
I'm from Nigeria.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of difficult, you know. I'm 33 years old. I came from a foster home. Yeah, I was kind of picked up from the garbage. So I made a little money I made. Then I first went to Ivory Coast. That is a Côte d'Ivoire in Africa. From Ivory Coast, I get to Cameroon. From Cameroon, it was difficult. Then I returned home to Nigeria. Then later, I moved to Libya. Then from Libya, I take the sea to Italy. From Italy to Greece.
In 2010, poverty, mass poverty, is implemented as structural adjustment to the Greek passport holders, to the Greeks in Greece. So imagine about 20 years of vilification, of stigmatizing migrants and war refugees in the country which receives probably one of the highest number of such refugees from non-EU members, and you can only imagine what an explosive mixture is coming there.
2011, 12, 13, because of the economic crisis, everybody was angry, annoyed, trying as much as possible to, use some racial act between we foreigners and the indigenes, because things are kind of rough and, ugly. So people are kind of maltreating people all through. But let's say 2014, there is little turnaround and change. And I believe 2015 will be very, very much better. Yeah, because, the new government as it is now, it's a government that recognizes you being a foreigner and you an indigene, trying as much as possible to make life, suitable for every people, irrespective of the difficulties.
When we talk about the rise of nationalism, the rise of racism, we need to remember that this is something that has particular economic forces or political forces who gain out of these violent ideologies, out of these violent discourses and violent practices.
And these are the guys you hang out with?
Yeah.
Hey man, how you doing?
Try and say something good about the Greek people. Now the people they are friendly, but not 100% friendly. Now the police is fucked up. They just killed one of our friends last year, January. This January, they killed one of our friends. They beat him to death. Yeah, in January. They caught him because of his paper. If you don't have paper, they're going to put you in like a year and 6 months. With fucking hard labor.
There is no job. You can't imagine like 5 people staying in one room. Yeah. But we still have to, survive. Economically, things are crazy. Socially, we cool. Economically, job-wise, financial-wise, it's difficult. But socially, it's cool. It's cool.
remember also something very important. It was very convenient for Greek government to find some scapegoats. Because when you have to implement all this horrific poverty to your population, you don't want your population to be against you as a government. You prefer to be against foreign governments or against weaker, alien, foreign people. So it was very convenient politically to keep creating goats out of migrants.
It has to do with mostly about, I think, identity. It is all about the will to unify Europe. We are talking about a project that started in the interwar period, essentially, okay? And it was about this ideal that we will create a united Europe because the things that brings us together are more than those that divide us. I think it was Protagoras that first said that metron pandon anthropos, man is the measure. And I think this is what is Europe, okay? Culture was always a priority in Europe. And in Greece, we would say that kids should go to school to become human beings, okay, to become citizens. And, this notion of we need culture back in our societies because the economic can only take us up to a certain point in our development. This could easier come from Europe rather than other places in the world.
So there are specific idiosyncrasies in Greece that you have to take into account. And there is a difference in culture. From their perspective, everything is factual. So take away any emotional notion, any kind of leeway, any human kind of touch. So the less developed member states within the European Union, they have to converge to the living standards of the most advanced. And from our side, being Greece, we think that you can invite them for a drink or something, and they will be linear towards you. It's not working out, I tell you. It's not working out. It's always factual.
If they are so very clever, so very dedicated to understanding these systems, coming to terms with them, how can they get a whole nation wrong like that?
But there is not one size fits all. So they go back in Frankfurt and in Brussels, and they have toolbox. And they say, I will open this toolbox, and I will get this and that, and I will fix it. But it's not working that way in Greece. As I said, there is a liquidity crisis. So the next time we will have enormous liquidity pressure will be in July. So we are given now 4 months period, till the end of June.
I think people just tend to overcomplicate things and try to imitate other people's lives with much bigger budget and income, and then they get trapped. As soon as you get married and you want to have kids, you have to borrow money, and you are expected to have a certain lifestyle and to spend, a certain amount of money and to have your own house, to have a mortgage. And I don't really buy that stuff. I don't really go into that mortgage and having all this to have to borrow. And what the current situation proved to us is like people who own houses, as soon as they couldn't really pay anything, the government takes the houses back and then people sleep in the street. I was in the army for 5 years. I signed a contract to work for the army, for 5 years. And then I was transferred as a trumpet player to the local department of the band of the Greek army. And one of my duties was to play twice a day. When the sun comes out, the flag comes up. And later, when the sun goes down, I had to go again and play the same type of melody when the flag was going down at the end of the day. I guess when I was in the band, in the army for these 2 years, because what I had to do basically was to play the trumpet, even though it was a style of music that I didn't really like at all. But at least I thought it would be better to be in the band than to be in the tanks.
So in fact, you have a very politicized army and police mechanism. The question is how a left-wing government is going to deal with apparatuses that are traditionally right-wing and anti-left. It is not an accident that the only ministry the independent Greeks, this far right-wing party, got is the Ministry of Defense. What Syriza wanted to do is, if it is to collaborate with someone, it needs to collaborate with a party that doesn't support the loan agreement between Greece, IMF, EU, and the Central European Bank. The entire state apparatus are very politicized, and the politicization is right-wing. For example, in the recent elections, most police officers who were in duty in Athens voted for the neo-Nazi party. It doesn't matter what Syriza really is. What it matters is that it has created a completely new social infrastructure which voted for a radical left party and a radical left agenda.
I think Syriza, they brought an air of hope to the country. I think they try to be very sincere and straight to the point and very down to earth in a way they communicate with people, and also the way they speak, the words they're using. They're trying to make the effort actually so anyone can understand what they're talking about. The previous governments of the last 12 years, 16 years, they've been using words that it sounded impressive to a big mass of Greek people who will be amazed by the vocabulary that these politicians they were using. But when it was coming to the point, they were not really helping.
This is the biggest unknown in Greek politics, whether Syriza under Alexis Tsipras will manage to stay united and keep projecting a single governmental project, keep governing the country as a single party. I think Syriza has been elected not because it promised to achieve a write-down on the Greek debt. I think Syriza has been elected because the bailout agreement has not been working, has not been achieving what it should have achieved. It doesn't really make sense to reduce salaries and pensions to people that they don't have to eat, they don't have electricity in their places. So I think it's not about debt, which is something removed, if you will, from everyday life. It is about surviving. That's why I think Syriza has been elected. And I think when Syriza has been trying to articulate this notion of a humanitarian crisis, this is what we are talking about.
We met after a lot experiences, a lot, and difficult so. So we took our lessons through life. I mean, if I was meeting Dimitris before even 10 years, maybe I wasn't going even to look at him. Believe me. He's not my type. No, the type I had in my mind, the image I had in my mind, no, definitely no. So after my journey, with almost 20 years, different relationships and disappointments, then I understand what is the real and what is the image.
Communication and also self-respect, first of all. And then if you respect yourself, then you will respect your partner. And then the rest is life, with good times and difficult times. Any problem can be welcome, and people can sit down and talk and find a solution about it. It's how you deal with the problems that counts. If you come from a very negative place, or you come from okay, there is that problem, doesn't matter, we're going to solve it, because we communicate and we love each other and we respect each other. So
doesn't make any difference at all because it's only 1 month. How much is it? 1.5 months. So I have no see any difference, and actually I'm just waiting to see what's gonna happen, and I'm afraid what is gonna happen, and if this love story with Varoufakis and Tsipras and all these handsome young men, it will succeed. I don't know.
Thank you to all of those who contributed towards this show, with particular thanks to Dimitri Medopoulos and Anastasia Vlahaki for sharing their relationship with us so candidly. In order of appearance, this episode has featured the research of Dimitris Dalagougou, Department of Anthropology, Andreas Antoniandes, Department of International Relations, and Emmanuel Mamajakis, Department of Finance. Your presenter and director has been Will Hood, and the series producer is Rob Alexander. The Glass Bead Game has been brought to you by the School of Global Studies at the University of Sussex and is an Animal Monday production.